everybody. Welcome back to How Come. Oops, I'm sorry. This week's episode is late because of Grace and because of RuPaul's Drag Race UK Season 2, which I discovered has been going on and I haven't been watching in real time. Highly suggest watching that. Every queen is amazing. Every episode is amazing. Sign up on worldofwonder.com. You have to pay for it, but it's worth it. Also worth it is patreon.com/howcome. If you're ever waiting for these episodes and you're like, fuck you, Remy or Technu or whoever's fault this is, go to patreon.com/howcome and the full episodes with video, unedited, are up there. Or if you're bored, here are some other recommendations. WandaVision. So good. I'm sure you've heard everybody talking about it if you're not already watching it. It's a Marvel universe thing, and it's just really good. It takes like a few episodes, I guess, for some people to get into it, but Ben and I have been obsessed since episode 1. And yeah, highly recommend. Also recommend watching the landing of the Mars Perseverance, which I watched in real time. That's another reason why this is late. But yeah, we landed an SUV-sized rover on Mars, and it's got a helicopter on top. And apparently it's got a machine that like turns CO2 into oxygen, which is crazy. And then another recommendation I make in this episode is the Before Sunrise trilogy movies on Amazon Prime. If you're in the mood for romance, watch those. So yeah, this week we are talking to 2 penis owners. One companion, Tom from South Africa. He is 20 years old. And then we talked to my friend, comedian, awesome human being, Stan Talouis, in the second half. Trigger warning for this episode, there is sexual assault and abuse and statutory rape and violence. So trigger warning for all of those, but also awesome gushy warning for some love and sweet stories and acceptance. And yeah, you're going to have a great time. I had a blast recording these episodes, except for the fact that my recording device, like that gives us the great sound, kept dying. Like, I don't know what's happening. Maybe I need to buy another one. But yeah, we're using Zoom audio on this. So our dear friend Alex is going to try to master it to the best of his ability. But please don't rate and review based on the sound of this episode. I am not pleased. But if you do want to rate and review because you love us, we would love that. There weren't any new reviews to read this week, but that's okay. Maybe just submit some for next week and maybe we'll read yours on the podcast. And don't worry, we still love you. So much, in fact, that this episode has a Marvel section in honor of WandaVision. And just to jump back to season 1 when I did Marvel sections, after the closing theme song, there will be a little tidbit extra. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, let's get this episode started.
How come? How come? How come I can't achieve? How come I can't achieve? I'm rolling up my sleeves. I'm rolling up my sleeves. Oh baby, I believe these guests can help. 'Cause I can't do it by myself. I wanna just...
Welcome, everybody, to Congratulations with Tom. Congratulations, Tom. We are so proud of you.
Thank you so much. It's kind of crazy, like actually talk to you.
I'm so excited to talk to you.
Yeah, no, it's just crazy being on this.
Oh my God.
I've been listening for ages.
Since the beginning?
Not quite. I think shortly after you like got really, really popular. I joined in like early 2019.
Oh, cool. And was there a reason for listening to the pod, or were you just like curious?
No, I've always been pretty open-minded, but I didn't feel like educated about it. I think the environment didn't really suit me. So How Come like kind of provided that for me, and it was great. Like it started that journey.
Yay.
Yeah.
I love fantastic. That. And what was that environment specifically?
Yeah. So I'm 20 and I'm from South Africa, Johannesburg, South Africa. And it's a country that's struggling with gender-based violence currently, and it has for a very long time, but it's just coming into the limelight now. The amount of abuse women and children take here, and I think it's definitely to do with how traumatized our country is, and so it kind of breeds this like it gives the idea of sex a stench, and like I like growing up, sex was taboo, and I know this is not new. But yeah, like my friends now, they're like 21 and they're guys, and I don't know why, but they still demonize masturbation, and I'm kind of like, guys, just embrace it, just enjoy it, make it special. Listen to some like audio erotica, it's great. Yeah, no, so it's really tough, and like even in growing up in a liberal household, it doesn't really help if your
everyone else around you. Yeah.
So I've discussed it with my sister as well, who's much older than me and more experienced. And she totally agrees. She thinks that like our sex ed was kind of limited, and not just in the like school syllabus, but like in general. As for the school syllabus, I remember it was okay at the time. They kind of like split up the boys and the girls, and then like people could ask questions, but people still got ridiculed. Right. It's ridiculous. Right. Yeah. For asking questions. And there were obviously genuine questions. Like one was asking like, why do girls moan when they have sex? Because that's all the only content he had consumed was porn, and you're not taught like what porn to look for. And so, and then like everyone laughed at him, and he's like, the teacher even was like, okay, I don't know what you're watching. He's like a 13-year-old boy. He's going to be watching porn.
Yeah. No, and it sucks because like you're saying, the education was limited, and like, of course, in school, it sounds like it wasn't fantastic, but also like your education comes from the people around you. Largely, it comes from your friends, it comes from your parents, like comes from kids at sleepovers. Like you have to unlearn a lot of the things that are steeped into a culture.
Yeah. I was listening in like preparation for this. I was listening to your, I think it was your last congratulations, and you had two South African women on. And I remember listening to it like way back when. I was like super happy, but like now I'm realizing like there's kind of a common thread of this restriction of especially women sexuality, and just like being more open and more free, because we all have bodies, we all have sex. Like it's nothing new. Nothing's
takes two to tango. Yeah. Well, no, I tango solo a lot. Yeah, and I could take a crew. Just tango with everybody. But yeah, tell us all about the congratulations, because
so I had just finished high school, and like I'd somehow made it through. It's 2019, and I'm like I'm traveling through Europe. I'm doing the generic thing, backpacking through Europe. I'm staying in like the UK for a bit, and like I decide to dive into the Tinder pool, and there's loads of weird and interesting and wonderful people there. Like the weird ones are always the best. I remember the conversations quite dearly. And then like I happened to match with this girl who was like passing through my town and like into my catchment area, and we just like swiped right on each other, and we chatted for a while, and we really hit it off, and like we liked each other and stuff. But the problem was that she was only in the UK on holiday with her friend. She was actually from Germany. So that was a bit rough, because she was in Germany and I was in the UK, and I wasn't going to be there anytime soon.
Distance is tough.
It's still to this day. But like, to cut a long romance story, romance novel rather short, I like towards the end of my trip through the continent in Europe, I'm in Germany, and like with trepidation, I kind of meet up with her, and we like we really dig each other, and like we know each other, but we also don't know each other. It's this kind of 21st century meet. It's really great. And like and then I end up like going and staying with her like a couple of nights, and I have my first kiss with her. All super, and like eventually like we did like we admitted like our feelings for each other, like we loved each other. And it was like I remember it all very vividly.
Oh my God, my feels are so good. Thank you for the serotonin. Oh my God, so cute.
And like, I think shortly after, we just, we I don't know. I don't want to say we did the deed. We had
did a
sex.
deed, yeah. No.
And yeah, I did a deed.
There's so
and
many
it
deeds
was,
to do.
Yeah, no, and they're never ending, and they're always finding new ones. Yeah.
Just
so
call
then
them Mr. Deeds.
Call me. Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Have you seen that movie? Is that a lost reference? Okay.
It is a bit lost.
Awesome.
Sorry. But yeah, I had a booked ticket on a really expensive train ride back to the UK, so I had to take it. And I went back to the UK and I stayed there for about a month. And then I ended up going back to Germany for like 2 weeks, stayed with her. Best time ever. It was phenomenal. But like another thing was that like I couldn't come. I hadn't like been able to come with her. And like that was a combination of my like I was on antidepressants and I have anxiety, like pretty bad anxiety. So I was in my head, the usual spiel. But like we got through it. It was really hot, and I eventually did come. It was great.
Wait, it was only a 2-week period?
Yeah, so I'd seen her for like so I'd seen her for like 5-ish days, and then I'd gone back to the UK for a month, then came back for 2 weeks.
Right.
Those 2 weeks we got busy. Yeah.
So the first time that the deed was done, were you able to come?
No.
Okay.
No.
And had this been a common issue? Well, I guess you hadn't done it with anybody else.
No. I mean, it was first time with a partner. Yeah. I mean, I hadn't struggled on my own. I think I did notice when I went on my antidepressants that it did get a bit tougher. I had to burn a couple more calories, but I think it was fine.
Is that something?
I just
burn more calories and then it makes you like.
I don't know. I know the
Tom,
internet likes to say.
Teach me, because I'm like having trouble right now. I'm not kidding. Like I'm in an orgasm drought. So you're telling me to exercise? Okay, I will.
No. I mean, I don't know the science behind it, but I just meant that, like putting more effort into your masturbation sessions and like trying to orgasm, like putting more effort into it. Can burn more calories.
True.
I very much assume so.
True. Yeah. And so how did you guys kind of get past it together? Was there like a lot of conversation going on or just? We
did talk about it. I had like, I still have like self-esteem issues. But.
As does everyone or the normal people. Yeah.
Yeah. But like, eventually we just agreed, like how should I explain it? I think it's okay to say that, like, so I did it myself. And she kind of like huddled up next to me and grinded on me.
Amazing. Really yes.
It was awesome. Awesome. It was great.
It's awesome. Get American. Yeah, we're cool again. No, I'm just kidding. We're still terrible.
Yeah, you guys have a ladder to climb. Sorry.
We have a ladder to climb. Yeah. No, I think that's amazing because, like, you probably know, like, that's how I started doing it with Ben for the first time. Like, I wasn't like, hey, do a bunch of stuff. I was like, okay, I'm going to figure me out while you're bearing witness. And like, even that is such a big part when like self-esteem is part of it. And you're wondering about your face and the sounds and whatever. And like, you just have like a little person snuggled up to you, humping you. And it's so nice.
Yeah. And also like you get to take control and it's like your moment. Yeah. So that's like first sexual debut, first kiss. And I mean, first time coming as well with a partner, but it's not that special as a guy, I suppose.
No, congratulations on so many fronts. It is so special. I'm beaming. If like you guys are not listening on Patreon and you're just listening, my face is hurting from how much I'm smiling.
Me too.
Like this is such an exciting story.
Yeah, you're lucky you didn't get the long version. That would actually be a genuine novel.
Honestly, when you were telling me about the falling in love, like I was like, you need to. Have you ever seen the movie Before Sunrise?
I think a long time ago, but I can't.
Julie Delpy, Ethan Hawke. They meet on a train in Europe. He's traveling in Europe, and he like has a flight to Vienna in the morning, and they like start talking and they get along on the train, and he's like, why don't you just get off with me in Vienna or whatever and like spend the like just walk around with me, and it's just like this romantic, like beautiful night, like, and what happens, and then it becomes like a trilogy. It's really good. You'll love it if you're a romantic, which I know now you are. And I think you need to write your own version.
Yes. Yeah. And you get like an editor and a publisher and the whole shebang.
I will read it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a special story. And I know everyone's like first love is always something. I mean, most people cherish it, I think. Mm-hmm. You kind of remember it, but I don't know. It just feels really, because it's personal. You know, you hear other people saying it's not personal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm very grateful for your podcast because I was thinking about it the other night. Like other podcasts, they're very interesting, and like something like 99% Invisible might get you down a path of like being super interested in a certain type of pot for a plant, something weird like that. Mm-hmm. But yours is more, you're changing people's perceptions of something that's like been a part of us forever. And like you're doing more than just like changing like one person's life. Like you're changing generations, really.
Oh my God.
You're going to make her cry. You're going to make her cry.
No, but genuinely, like I'm so super grateful for it because I've got this like information and this journey that I can talk about like with my kids as well.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you. That's it wasn't the goal. It started very selfishly, but I'm really happy, and I'm like it makes me. I'm cavelling right now, to use a Yiddish word. Like I'm so happy that you are a part of our crew, and that you got to have such a wonderful debut. And whenever you want to write me the long version of the story, I am here for it.
Okay, you might have a special gift in your DMs then.
Good. I love. I live for it.
Okay, that's great. Yeah.
And what I think too is like, love doesn't always have to be a part of it. Like a lot of us have put the pressure on that, like it does, and like la la la, and like we've been like, no, like it doesn't have to, but like when it is, like that is so special, and that needs to be celebrated too. So congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah.
And it was like first kiss, first love, first debut. It was like all jam-packed into one beautiful OE. It was beautiful. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that is not the status quo, and it doesn't need to be. But when it happens, we love to see it.
We're here for it.
Yeah. No, it was genuinely beautiful. I loved it so much. Yeah. But now we're like, she's still in fucking Germany.
Oh my God.
I came back to South Africa, and I sort of regret it and I sort of don't. But we're still like 9,000 kilometers apart, and we agreed we weren't going to do a long distance relationship. Mm-hmm. That's really tough. And we said it was okay to see each other. We set down 2 rules. We said that we had to tell each other when we fell in love with someone else, and we had to tell each other if we fell out of love with each other, and like that hasn't happened. She has a boyfriend,
but she's not in love with him yet.
Yeah. I still like in my heart, I'm still like jealous, and I'm like, yeah.
You have to watch the Before Sunrise series. You're gonna die.
No, I'm writing it down. Yeah.
It's on Amazon if you have it. I rewatched them recently, and a lot of it is about timing and space and distance and stuff. And it's gushy. You're gonna love it. Yeah.
I'm gonna relate to it too much. I feel like Remy.
You're gonna cry. Like you make me cry. Fine, I'll make you cry.
Pay back, bitch.
No, it'll be cathartic and good. Yeah. Ooh. This has been so cathartic and good for me. Robin, did I get everything?
Yeah, you did. I can't see anything else.
Huzzah. Okay, Tom, thank you so much for being here. But did you finish?
Yes, I did. I just have one question.
Oh, great.
Did you finish?
I did. Thank you so much for asking. Everybody fucking... Okay, the guests never ask back. The companions always ask back. It is chef's kiss.
'Cause we know.
Companions
we
are
know.
courteous.
Okay, Tom was a dear. That was only half the time we got to speak to him. The other half is up on patreon.com/howcome, as you know. We talk about a time that he got a cock ring. We talked about other firsts that he had. His first time coming in general, which was at a sleepover, but I will let him tell that on Patreon. And no ads this episode. Amazing. But I do still support everything that has supported us. So if you want to get any of the promo codes that we've mentioned on this podcast, whether it's for a Sweet Vibrations vibrator or Dipsy audio porn or Pros hair care specifically made for you, go check out our highlight that says promo codes on our Instagram at How Come Podcast. And now we are going to talk to my friend Stan Talouis. He's amazing. You guys are going to love him. Here he is.
Welcome, Stan.
Thanks, Remy. This is great, man. You know I'm a big fan of your podcast, and it's great to be on it.
Yay. You are my first friend, like a friend who's also a fan of the show.
Yeah.
And like has always been very, very supportive and always really opened up to me about your sex life. And
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's because we're close or because you listen to the show so you know you can tell me things, but I've always felt very honored by that.
Well, yeah, I think it's a combination of both because we've been friends for years now, and
Yeah.
I trust you, but seeing how you open up on the podcast about your own sexual stuff, like it's like doesn't feel
Weird.
Oh yeah, it doesn't feel weird at all.
Good.
Plus, being a comic, I talk about stuff.
Yeah.
There was an episode you did, I want to say, and I reached out to you about it. I think you did it with like
Will Winner, Casey Salengo, and Patrick Schroeder.
Yes. Yes, that was the episode.
Yeah.
And I remember one of them mentioned being affable because of, growing up with like sexual abuse. And I hit you up immediately and I was like, that's me. That's me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like I'm in therapy and I'm still trying to figure out, because it's a really, really like repressed memory. So there's things that like I remember and there's things that I feel like I remember, but I'm not sure. But
because you were very young.
Yeah, I was around. I had to be like 10 or 11 years old, and my grandfather, who's from Haiti, visited. And he stayed in my room, and we had like a twin bed and like one of those trundle beds where like the bottom kind of you can separate it or whatever.
Out.
Yeah, so I would sleep on the bottom, he would sleep on the top, and like he would molest me or whatever, and like it was. But for one, I didn't grow up with my grandfather all the time. Like I didn't meet him for the first time till I was like 7 or 8 when I visited Haiti.
Right.
So, and two, it didn't come off as like malicious or like,
I don't think
like
ever
a predator.
Not ever, but I think most times you're confused about the intent.
Yeah. Because, even talking about it, it just seemed like, okay, not that it was innocent, but it was just like, even at the time I was like, this is weird, but like, I don't, whatever. So he would touch me, and then I never said anything about it. And it wasn't until a couple years later, my cousins were toddler age and they were moving to New York from Texas. And like, I had this weird feeling like I had to say something.
Yeah.
Because my grandfather was going to be around. So I remember telling my mom and my aunts that it happened. And I don't remember anything else. I don't remember what the reaction was. I don't remember, to this day, I can't remember if they
were supportive or if they shut you down. Yeah.
Right. I have, the only thing I can remember is like, there was this feeling like I remember, I don't know if it was my mom or my aunt, but it was like this feeling like, oh no, here we go again, sort of like a feeling.
Oh no.
Like, they didn't say those words, but it was like they just weren't surprised. That's the feeling I got.
Right.
Which
is a terrible feeling.
Right. When I told them, I was like, oh, this is not the reaction I was expecting.
Oh, I'm so sorry. That's so crushing.
Yeah. But,
I think I know that your realization is not uncommon with like Jack Stelloso was on an episode talking about her dad and not really talking about it until there were younger siblings involved, that she felt like protective over and was like, oh, we need to talk about it. And the same response of the family, which is like, how not like like almost like how annoying that you told us and like burdened us with this, like having to deal with it, and like we'd rather just sweep it under the rug again because clearly they've done that before.
Yeah, that's the feeling I got, because it was like, my here my little cousins, and I'm just like, oh nah, I can't let. Even at 13, I was like, whatever had happened to me was not right.
Right.
And I don't want it to happen to them.
Mm-hmm.
So exactly.
Was there a person that you opened up to that was supportive ever? Like,
nah, not till I started going to therapy.
Wow.
And like, I never, like, by the time I kind of realized what had happened, like by then I was like in high school, and, I was, dealing with other there was no reason to think about it. And then even like when I got into college, it wasn't really a thing that I thought about. But funny enough, like the only reason I started like thinking about it in therapy was because I was like, all right, well, here's this thing that happened. And I had acknowledged it. I felt like I had kind of gotten past it and dealt with it. And I was like, I kind of want to unpack it just so that I have something meaningful to talk about on stage when I started doing stand-up. That's because I was like, I don't want to.
What's wrong with us? Literally.
Because I was like, yeah, I want to like, here's a thing that's like not unique to me, but like enough people can relate to it that it's like, all right, here's this like tragic thing that happened.
Yeah.
I can kind of
make comedy out of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then, the more it's been difficult because how do I find the humor there? And it's still something I'm working on, but like, what it led to was really like your podcast, listening to it and realizing, oh, I am that way because of this. Like I don't say no to anybody because of that. Because a lot of times because it didn't happen just once with my grandfather, it happened a few times, a lot. And whenever it did, it was like, oh, I don't want to say no. Right. I don't want to. This is my grandfather. I don't want to be disrespectful. I started thinking about, is this why I lost my virginity so late? Like I was 24. Like it's also this, it's maybe it's the reason I'm pan or bi or whatever. Like it's not. I don't know. It could, maybe it's not, but it could be.
I don't think so. I mean, like, do you think so? Since
I don't know. I go back and forth with it because, like,
okay,
I don't find men particularly attractive, but like, I'm really into trans women. I don't think those two things are correlated. Right.
So it's up to you to say what your sexuality is, like if you want to label the thing. But if you're not attracted to men and you're only hooking up with women, I think an acceptable label could be straight. It could be bi, it could be pan. It's literally like whatever fits your fancy.
Right.
Or like feels good that day.
But I think I don't like, that's why I'm like, I kind of go back and forth. I don't want to blame it on what happened with my grandfather, but like, I'm sure there's on some level, there's some sort of connection, but I don't think it's directly related.
Yeah. I just wanted to kind of go back to the therapy thing and be a little clear. So you didn't even go to therapy for that issue. You were in therapy for something else.
Yeah, I started going to therapy. I forget what year it was, but I started seeing, because a friend from college was friends with my therapist, and she was doing, my old therapist was doing free consultation. So I was like, all right, I'll try it.
Yeah. Okay.
And it just opened up the floodgates of about a bunch of other things. And I never stopped going.
Yeah.
It's been a huge help. Even like the times when I didn't go, like it was always like, I should go back, you know?
Mhm. Are you still with that same therapist?
No, I'm with a new one now.
Because it was a better fit, or?
No, so I was seeing my old therapist for like 3 years, and then at one point I wasn't working consistently, so I couldn't afford to go,
Mm-hmm.
and then that was right around the time I was with my ex, and you had met her.
Yep.
And
I was with you the day that you guys broke up.
Yeah. I think I came to you either
My
before or
show.
after.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were at QED. You were at QED. I came to you because I was like, it was the Tuesday after Thanksgiving, and I was like torn up about it because I was like, I don't know if I can do this and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And looking back, I made the right decision, obviously, but like when I was with her, she didn't want me to go to therapy.
Interesting.
She was totally against it. She was like, it's a waste of money, and you don't need it, and you're fine, and blah blah blah. And I was like,
oh,
I need to go back. So by the time, that was like 2018.
Sometimes
so
with like anti-therapy like partners, I'm like, you just don't want me to talk about you.
Thank you. That's exactly what it was.
Like you're scared that I'm going to say what you said today, and my therapist might be like, it's a little fucked up. Because
realistically, if I had gone back to therapy while I was with my ex, we wouldn't have been together as long.
Yeah.
Because I had nobody. Yeah. I spent a lot of my time with her, and I didn't have anybody to kind of complain to or bounce these things off of and say, hey, is this cool? Should I be upset about this thing? And I never did. With someone who's
not biased. If you're asking her, like, is this thing fucked up that you did? She's going to be like, no.
Right. Exactly. So I was able to go back to therapy in 20. I think it was like sometime last year. I found a new therapist, and I've been with her ever since.
Cool. Were you ever looking for like more affordable therapy solutions?
Yeah, I looked into Talkspace. Talkspace was a little expensive. Mm-hmm. Personally, it didn't really help. But like, there's an app called Ginger, and a good friend of mine, one of my best friends, who works for CBS Viacom, her company gives them like I don't know if it's a login or if they give them like access to an account. So she let me use her account. She let me create an account with her like
username and
whatever
stuff.
Her credentials, right? So I was able to do that. I didn't totally like it because the whole texting thing doesn't really help.
Right.
The other thing that, again, it's sort of like a not a desperate move, but like a worst case scenario, there were a few times where I called the suicide prevention hotline. Mm-hmm. One of the times when I really, really felt like, I was at my wit's end, or, there's been a few times throughout the last few years, most recently in December, the end of December when I got fired, when I did contemplate suicide. So, the suicide prevention hotline helps, but it's not a good replacement for therapy. I would,
right.
I don't know how. I'm sure there are more affordable ways, but I think
we need to do like a bigger deep dive into it. Like it might be that like there just really aren't enough affordable options, and that's like not cool. And maybe, I don't know. I can't start anything else, but somebody needs to start more affordable stuff, or we need to start petitioning for it to be included in healthcare packages. And like, like people need therapy, and it's better for everyone if people have therapy. Like personal problems become society's problem.
Yeah. Like in the long run, just from a societal perspective, like if you help someone who's 17, 18 now, that's less of an issue that you'll have to deal with when that person turns 35 and they haven't dealt with these issues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I always felt very guilty going to therapy when it's just not accessible for people. Cause I'm like, wait, so you can afford therapy and you deserve therapy?
Yeah.
That doesn't add up.
Yeah. Like when I first started going, I was working at a job where my health insurance was like really, really good. So I had no co-pays or anything like that. And then when I kind of transitioned out of there and like I realized how much I was playing, like I was doing like sliding scale, and even that's expensive. Some people are paying double what I pay, So, all right, maybe you can't make it free for everybody, but like, I mean, you shouldn't have to decide whether you need to take care of your mental health or eat.
Yeah, exactly. And I do think, so one of the things that we talked about, because I was like, Stan, I texted you, I was like, Stan, what would you want to talk about on my podcast if you ever did it? And you sent me a list of things. And one of the things was toxic masculinity. And I do think that like the inaccessibility of therapy is tied into the toxic masculinity, like in our culture. That's like, well, guys don't have emotions or need emotions. So why would we build in something to society that promotes that? Like why would we give money to those things that we don't give credence to?
100%.
This is just a hypothesis that I just thought of, but
no, yeah, it makes all the sense in the world. Like you look at even in pop culture, like I've been rewatching The Sopranos from the very beginning. The Sopranos is a perfect example because here's this guy who's this mob boss, and this is a show that debuted 20 years ago, and he's afraid to tell people that he's in therapy. Yeah, like. Why does it make me less of a man because I have these issues I want to talk about, these emotions that I want to get through? Because you look at older generations that didn't value therapy. That's how you end up with ulcers and dying at 60.
Yeah, heart attacks.
Right.
Closeted sadness.
Yeah, women, they say, women are more susceptible to heart attacks. And I'm sure, less women would probably die of heart attacks if they, spoke about these issues, like if they had therapy. Guys.
Yeah. I mean, we talk about how women's healthcare is like taken like 0% seriously. And that's, I think, kind of why like, maybe therapy falls under the category of women's healthcare. It's like, well, that's the kind of stuff that girlies need, So like, we won't focus on that. Like I've even, you hear doctors saying that, oh, you're going to med school to become a psychiatrist. Like what a waste of med school. And it's like, no, that like, it's a very important organ. It kind of separates us from the animals. No.
Right. Like
the brain.
It's crazy to think about like that anybody would like. I think the people that need therapy the most, I'm gonna say I think are minorities and women of color. I think like I think about my mom. My mom, when I told her I was going to therapy, she was like, "Why? You're not crazy." And I was like, "You need therapy more than I
need
do."
Therapy. Yeah.
My mom came here from Haiti in 1981. Her first job was working at Studio 54. She had me. Oh. She was pregnant with me while she was working at Studio 54.
What?
And she told me, this is hilarious.
Stan, you are groovy.
My mom. So she was a bathroom attendant at Studio 54.
So she saw some shit.
She told me that they would come into the bathroom to do coke, and she didn't know what coke was. And she's like, they're doing coke off. She's like, they're snorting this powder off the toilet. Let me go wipe it up. And they're like, lady, what are you doing? And she's like, I'm wiping off this dust.
This baking soda.
And they're like, no. It's cocaine. And she's like, I don't care what you call it. Get it the hell out of
It's
here.
dirty.
So like, you know, and I'm sure a lot of that stuff she was dealing with, living in New York in the early 80s, you know, surviving the crack 80s,
Mm-hmm.
you know, not exactly living in the best of neighborhoods. And then that
Being a
obviously
Black
led,
woman on top of that.
right. That had to have led to me being born premature. I was born 2 months early.
Okay.
You know, I'm sure, you know, if mental health was something that we've always taken care of, I might have been born to, you know, to term, you know, like my mom probably wouldn't, I don't know. It's difficult to say, but
Is this
I
a
think-
height complaint, Stan? Get over it. You're adorable.
I'm just saying, maybe I'd be 5'9". I don't know.
I don't know. But yeah, no, it's tough to talk to parents about going to therapy when they don't even believe in it themselves. Like, were you surrounded by a lot of toxic masculinity growing up?
No.
Okay.
Just my dad moved out when I was like 11.
Okay.
And I guess, I don't know if the lack of men in my life growing up is the presence of toxic masculinity, but
Whoa.
I think it was the opposite. I think growing up without my dad, it kind of, you know, it forced me to kind of see things from a different perspective. Like, you know, both my aunts, they grew up, I grew up not having their husbands around because we all lived together. It was me, my mom,
Mhm.
my aunts, my cousins. So like, none of us grew up with our dads around.
Mhm.
So I think that kind of forced me to not. I always said, I don't want to treat women the way, you
I've
know,
seen
guys
them
treated
be
my
treated.
mom or
Yeah.
yeah. So like I've always been, maybe I'm too nice, but like at the same time I'm like,
No, it's not a thing.
but not like, yeah, I think that it kind of forced me, not my dad not being around forced me to kind of like look at things differently and say, all right, well, I don't want to do that to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it's a good thing.
Mm-hmm. And I think you get to really see like the resilience and strength of women when you live in that type of household, because like I lived in a very quintessential 2-parent household where like the dad was the breadwinner, and I just grew up thinking like men make the money, even if there are like a million feminist manifestos out there, like your parental units have an effect on how you think of things. And so I do think it is it sounds like it was beneficial to you, like growing up in the time that we did, where there was so much toxic masculinity, having it not in the household.
Absolutely. Like, I think for me, the one thing that always stuck out to me, the one example, I used to live uptown Manhattan. I lived like north of like Washington Heights, and we moved to Queens when I was like 9. But my mom didn't want to pull me out of school to put me in another school, especially so late in the year. It was like April.
Yeah.
So for April, May, and June, like 2.5, 3 months, my mom would wake me up. We would take the bus to the train, to another train, to another train. An hour and a half to 2-hour commute each way.
Jesus.
So my mom would take me to school.
Yeah.
I'd go to my babysitter's, and she'd pick me up, and we'd go home. We did that 5 days a week
every
for
day.
2.5 months. Yep.
Fuck.
And you know, at the time, obviously, I'm a kid, so like I'm in 4th grade, so like in the morning, she'd all after all this, I just wanted to go to Dunkin' Donuts. Yeah. And so like as I got older, and you know, more and more recently, it's crazy to me what my mom did just to kind of give me a good opportunity, you know. And I was going to Catholic school the whole time, and like, you know,
and that woman doesn't think she deserves therapy.
Right?
Like, are you kidding?
She'd rather pray. I don't know. I try to tell her, but she'd rather pray. She just sits at home and she reads the Bible, and she watches like gospel stuff, and that's her therapy, I guess. So, I mean, my mom won't do anything. She's not like, she has trouble sleeping. I told her to try CBD, and she's like, no, I'm just gonna pray on it. Just gonna pray.
All right.
Okay.
Well, if it works for you, Mama Talouis,
Yeah.
is she the type of religious that you might have been scared to come out about?
100%. Yeah. I can.
Okay.
There's. I can tell you right now. My mom will never know
Oh my
about my sexuality.
God.
It would kill her. It would kill her. It would kill her.
Stan.
She's she's Caribbean, very old
Mhm.
school, very religious, you know, very, the whole. My mom does not. I'm not gonna say she's homophobic. She's not homophobic, but I mean, she's a little bit homophobic.
Yeah.
So like, my mom is the kind of person where, like, growing up, one of my neighbors is gay, and I remember early on, like when we like he's like a few years older than I am,
Mm-hmm.
and my mom's reaction to him would be, that's a shame.
Right.
His mom must be going through it.
Mm-hmm. Or
So
what do they like to say, the old people? What a waste.
yeah.
What a waste. Which is like wait, there's other gay people waiting to date them, right?
Right. Like if I told my mom that I, had slept with a dude, and she'd be like, her first thing would be, oh well, why can't you be with a girl? You like, you're so handsome.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, that's not those.
You're like, I can and I am and I do, but
right.
I also don't mind a penis.
Right. Like I think that's. I don't know what I'll be honest with you. My mom, what is it? She just turned 70. She would like. I bought a pair of pants from H&M that were slim fit, and her and my grandma both called me gay. Pants.
That's tough. Yeah.
So, I'd like to, think I have that, that relationship with my mom, that I could be honest with her about this kind of stuff, but like realistically, I can't.
Mm-hmm.
Like none of the older people in my family, I don't think I could.
Are the younger people though?
Yeah, like my younger cousins, they're in their mid-20s, and like I've told them,
oh,
and
great.
They don't really care,
Yay.
Because like,
that's
to
good.
them,
see, I like that though, because then there's growth.
It's not a new thing, but it's a new thing that people can talk about. Mm-hmm. And I think it sucks because when we we talk about politics and stuff like that, there's a lot of people that like to say, well, as generations get older and start to die off, things will change, and I don't think that's true, because those same people are teaching the younger people how to feel and what to think and things like that. But I think the more and more there are people like, us that have younger siblings and have younger cousins that, feel differently, I think it'll change eventually, but it's not going to be as quick as we think.
So because you have been always so open about sharing things with me, I would like to share something with you about me that I recently have talked about. Robin knows. But Ashley Gavin asked me yesterday, like last minute, to do her podcast. And
also, I just started following her. Yeah.
She's so great.
Yeah.
And her podcast is We're Having Gay Sex, as most of the listeners already know. And I was like, of course I'll do it. And in their podcast, everybody introduces themselves with their pronouns. And as it was coming around to me, I was like, just say she, they. Just say it. You want to. You've wanted to for a while. Just say it. Like, if there's any space to do it, it's here. And I did. So, hi, guys. My pronouns are she, her, they. Still very, very comfortable with she, her, but also delighted if you want to use they.
That's great. See, like,
thank you.
And it's like I said, it's you and a lot of other people that kind of like make it comfortable and make me feel like, okay, like I don't care what people think. Well, outside of like my mom.
Right.
But like, like who? Like,
No one
I
send
don't,
this
I don't
podcast to
care.
Stan's mom.
Yeah, she'd have a hard time. She'd have a hard time figuring out how to listen
Accessing
to
it. Yeah.
Yeah. But like, yeah, like even like with stand up, it's like when I started, I was very much like, okay, I can only. I didn't even like doing urban shows. I didn't like doing shows with Black audiences and things like that because I was like, I didn't grow up typically the same way. I grew up, I guess middle class and a lot of the things that like a lot of Black comics that I grew up watching that talked about, I don't
Wasn't
not
your
that I don't
experience.
understand. Right. It
Yeah.
wasn't my experience. So like I went into stand up. I'm coming on 11 years now. When I got into it, I was like, well, this is not my scene. This is not where I belong. And as I got, into it more and I realized it doesn't matter what, like as funny as funny.
Right.
For one, and two, I think I got to give these audiences more credit to be able to kind of relate to me and understand. So now I'm at the point where I don't care who's there, who's listening, whatever. I'm going to talk about what I want to talk about, and if that includes my sexuality, that includes, growing up in a single parent household, whatever it is, it is what it is. I don't care.
Yeah. See, I was very scared to make that announcement because of toxic masculinity. Like a lot of the things I do, I feel like I look at through the male gaze, the toxic male gaze, and like specifically like comics who I grew up thinking were like the funniest or ones that like, starting comedy, I thought they were the funniest and always were like, oh my God, they're going to judge me if they find out I'm bi, or they're going to judge me if they find out that I have some non-binary tendencies, and then yesterday I was just like, you know what, fuck it, because they're going to judge me no matter what. And like, I have to just not judge me anymore. And like, if something makes me happy, then like, I have to do that. And also a lot of the judgment that we're scared of, like sometimes is unfounded now. Like I told a few friends, I told a few family members, and like, there were better responses than I expected. Like there was just like, I'm proud of you. And like, thank you for telling me. And like, if somebody didn't understand, there was a lot of like, okay, that's great. Can I ask you a few questions? And I'm like, yes, like, I don't know. So it's like, there's a fear of judgment, but also there's like this nice thing with these younger generation or just people who have like been having these conversations that like is more welcoming than I would have expected.
Yeah. And like, it's like with comics, I feel like we kind of got to give them a little bit more credit too, because yeah, sure, they might judge, but like maybe they won't. And I feel like a lot of times we kind of work ourselves up to think that, these comics are gonna judge us or react negatively when they probably won't, and they probably don't really care.
Maybe, or they're talking shit on their Patreons.
That could be it too.
Who knows? But yeah, so I wanted to talk about too, when you started to get to know your body, like your early sexual experiences, had you gotten to get to know yourself before you were assaulted?
No.
So that was really like your first.
Yeah. Because, I was like 10 or 11 when it happened. And, I didn't start masturbating until I was like 13.
Okay.
Like it was, because growing up, like especially, I don't know if this is exclusive to the Black community or whatever, but like, or maybe it's just a teen boy thing, but like I was like, all my friends were like downplaying masturbation. It was like, oh, like, what, you jerk off? What are you, like, you can't get a girl? And I'm like, I remember being like 12 and I was like, no, I can't get what. Like, I've never,
I
what?
can't get a girl. Are you supposed to?
Like, I'm still watching Power Rangers. Like, what? Like, no. Like, is this? So,
you
like,
want me to be fucking after Power Rangers?
exactly. We got priorities. Power Rangers first, everything else second.
Mhm.
So, like when I discovered masturbation, it wasn't something I talked about. Even in high school, like it was like the worst kept secret in the world. We all did it. Like there was one kid in my high school that was like that talked about it. That was like, and it wasn't even like I'll never forget. There was, and maybe he had his we had our reasons, but there was a kid that transferred out of our school because he got caught jerking off in bio. He got like
I feel like there's always one.
And this is an all boys school, so like we let him have it,
Mhm.
and he transferred schools, and I feel bad that we did that, but like that's how bad it was. Like you at 15, 16 years old, you couldn't admit that you were jerking off. It had to be like, oh no, I get girls all the time and blah blah blah. And some guys were, some guys did, and that's them. But like, that kind of gets into the toxic masculinity thing.
Yeah.
And when I started college,
Yeah.
I made a concerted effort. I was like, I'm not gonna do that. I don't care who knows and who makes fun of me. I don't care about people making fun of me for being a virgin or whatever. And like, I didn't like it wasn't. And I think because of that, I think my friends respected me more for being honest about it and like owning up to it. And when I finally did lose my virginity, it was like this, which can be kind of toxic, I think, as well. But it was like this big achievement. All my friends were like proud of me.
Right.
You know? 'Cause it almost felt
And
like
you
a
were,
conquest,
how
and it
old were you
shouldn't have, but
then?
24.
Do you think that being at a Catholic boys' school played into them like calling masturbation gay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%. And then I can't think of a more homoerotic place than an all boys high school.
Right? Like, of course you're jacking off there.
Yeah.
It's hot.
Like my first weekend of high school, I learned how to draw a dick like easily.
Of
Like
course.
I could, yeah. It's just what you did.
That's what you do.
So, I can't imagine that in a school of 1,000 boys from 13 to 17, that there wasn't one gay dude. Had to be.
When was your first experience with a dick?
When I was 19. It was like it was all right. So I was 19, and this is when AOL chat rooms were still a thing. And a dude had hit me up, and he's like, the whole ASL, age, sex, location thing, and and then he was like, "Oh, do you know so and so? We live in the same area, and it's cool." I was like, "Yeah, I know so and so," and I was like, "Oh yeah," and then immediately it went from like just a very innocent conversation to, "Well, have you ever gotten head before?" And I was like, "No." And he was like, 19, you never got? I was like, "No, I haven't." He's like, "Would you like to?" I was like, "Sure, but not from a guy." He's like, "Well, a mouth is just a mouth," and I was like, "That's a fair point.
You're right about that."
Yeah, a mouth is just a mouth. So like, it took a little bit of convincing, but I was like, whatever, let's go for it. I don't have anybody beating down my door right now anyway. So I met up with him, and I never forget. He was driving in a Isuzu. He was like one of those like smaller SUVs. He picked me up, and we drove like to a dark spot, like a few blocks away. And he went down on me, and then like I was like, well, I don't want to be rude.
Of course, you're so polite.
Yeah. So I was like, I went down on him, and I was like, okay, cool. And at the time, at 19 years old, I was so conflicted with my own sexuality. I was like, what the fuck did I just do? I went home, I took the longest, hottest shower I'd ever taken. And I was like, who am I? Like, what was that? And like, I kept it to myself. And it wasn't until maybe a year or so later, I told my best friend, And I was afraid to tell him because we had another friend who came out to us, and you know, none of us cared. Like we were just like, yeah, whatever.
That's nice.
So
Yeah.
we were in college, and he told us, he was like, I was afraid to tell you guys because I thought you guys were gonna roast me or whatever. We're like, nah, man. Like we all bonded over video games. I don't care who you like. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And then ironically, I was afraid to tell my friends because I felt the same way. Because I was like, how are you guys going to take this? Like, you know, him telling us is different because he's not in
He's
like our circle. Right.
Oh. I thought also it was like, because you can't be bi or pan because people don't believe in that. They'll just.
Oh, no.
Okay.
I thought my initial thought was like, okay, well, you know, it wasn't a big deal that he told us. Like or not that it was a big deal that he told us, but it wasn't big that he was gay because, yeah, okay,
yeah,
you're no different than who you were. Like we just, you know, you're the same person to me. But like, you know, in our smaller circle, you know, I was afraid of that reaction because I was like, you know, this is a guy that doesn't really hang out with us all the time. But now in this smaller circle, like what if it is a big deal in the smaller circle, but my friends, you know, my best friend especially, like he, you know, didn't care. He was like, that's cool. He was actually, he thought I was like joking. He thought I was like trying to prank him. And he got mad. He was like, if you're messing around and you're lying about this, I'm gonna be real pissed off. And I was like,
that's really rude. And you're like, no,
right,
I'm polite. I would never do that. That's not a funny joke to me. Guys sucking each other's dicks isn't a joke.
Right. So yeah, like it, you know, it coming out in a sense to my friends wasn't a huge deal. Like but yeah, that was my first sexual experience in general. You know, like I had kissed a girl, like fingered a girl, but like I had never had sex. I'd never gotten a blowjob.
Fingering's pretty sexual, no?
Yeah. That would, I mean,
you're in someone else's body.
That's true.
Just straight from fingers to sucking dick.
Yeah.
I am so happy that it was easy and not judgmental for you, because I will say on the other side of, you know, I told Gabby, oh, my pronouns are she, they, them. And she's like, oh, great. Congratulations. I love you. You're still my best friend. Versus when I recently told someone I guess I just like casually mentioned like, well, there's the most bisexuals in the world. Like that's the most common sexuality. And most of us don't say anything because society tells you to pick, and we do. And this guy was like, wait, you're bi? And I was like, yeah. And like, you know, like just take the information, you know. But the next thing out of his mouth was, so you love eating pussy? And I'm like, why does everything with sexuality have to come down to oral?
Yeah.
You know, like, and I understand the impulse of the question, because I did have that same impulse when I was younger, thinking about gay sex, being like, eating a pussy, gross. But when I think about what I also thought about blowing a dick, it was also gross. That doesn't mean that I didn't like men or boys. Like I've loved men my whole life. I've loved boys my whole life. Never wanted to suck a dick. Literally, there's like in our yearbook, there was like a who will you be in 20 years? And I was the 2027 champion of poker, because one time a guy was hooking up with whipped out his dick, and instead of doing anything to it, I poked it, laughed, and ran away. Like I was like terrified of dicks. That does not mean I don't like men. And yeah, I don't know. Not that this person's listening to this podcast, but if anybody who that is your natural inclination to like start picturing the person doing a sex act, don't ask them about it. You know, like that's weird of you to be now picturing me eating a box or sucking a dick. Like you're weird. That's weird.
It's funny. Somebody not long ago, I was at an open mic, because, you know, it was only a few months ago I started talking about it on stage, like, you know, whether I'm bi or whatever.
Mhm.
And somebody asked me, have you sucked more dicks than eaten pussies? Like, I guess
What the
because
fuck do you need to know for?
not only that, but like if I sucked 11 dicks and eight out 10, eight 10 pussies, does that make me more gay than
Does it cancel out
like, you know,
the
yeah.
pussies?
Do I have to keep an even amount
Is
for
it a
them for
tally
me to be
system?
bi?
Yeah.
Right. Like I'm picturing somebody with like an abacus, like, all right, still bi. Like
Mhm.
that's I mean that's not how it works. Like I said, I don't know that I can admit if a guy is attractive. I don't know
Yeah.
if I like I don't, I'm not gonna say I don't find men attractive. I do, but like, you know, not in the same way that I find women attractive.
Yeah. Like, can't remember my last crush on a guy.
Right.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, if whatever it
That's
is
me
that
being
makes
Stan.
me
I have crushes on many men. Thank you.
so many.
Yeah. Robin's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
But like, if liking trans women is what makes me whatever I am, then
No.
whatever, I don't care.
Yeah, no. Liking trans women makes you whatever you feel you are. It doesn't it doesn't have to do again with that toxic male gaze of why should a non-binary person or a trans person be nervous to talk about their gender with a straight guy because they think it's going to threaten what that makes them if they're attracted to them. Like I don't know. We've talked about this many times, but we just have to like get away from that.
Yeah.
You know, like worrying about like because that's the thing is people are in your audiences and they're not wondering what it makes you, because then it reflects on what it makes them. And when you take the responsibility off and be like, you are whatever you want to be, it has nothing to do with the amount of dicks I've sucked. You know, like I think that's just a better thing for everyone.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. This is one thing I did want to ask you about, because you told me about this experience that you had, and it was the first of this type of experience that I've ever heard of. You'd been with a trans woman and she tied up your balls.
Yeah. A little bit of background. So I had auditioned for New York Comedy Club. It was a Saturday, right? You know, and I did the audition. I was gonna do the audition. So the Friday night, and I'm like nervous as all hell, and I was like, damn, this is my first time auditioning for a club, and so it was a big deal. So I was like, I need to go out. I need to take myself out of my head. Just do something else. Do something crazy, whatever. So I told myself, whatever happens, I'm not saying no to nobody. So there's this gay club on like 52nd and like First Ave, and on Fridays and Saturdays. Yeah, no. I think it's called. I don't know if it's the same name. It used to be called Evolve, and on Fridays and Saturdays they had like trans night. So I would go, and so I went in. A lot of escorts are there, and you know, so I went. I'm chilling there, and I'm drinking, and like there's a spot in the back you can get a lap dance. So I go in the back, I get a lap dance, I come back, and another girl grabs me and she's like, let me give you a lap dance. So she's like, do you want to come back to my place? And I was like, you know, by then I already knew she meant, you know, to pay for it. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. And she's
yes,
like,
I do.
All right, yeah. She's like, do you mind going, you know, if it's me and my boyfriend? And I'm like, okay, whatever, I don't care. So she takes us both to the back, right? And like it's quieter, and like she's smoking a cigarette, and like she's like grabbing my hand and making me touch him, and I'm just like, I don't know what, lady, I don't need any more convincing. Let's do this. Let's go back. Let's go. So, like 20 minutes goes by. I take out some cash, and she's like, oh, change your plans. It's just gonna be you and me. I'm like, all right, no problem.
I like you. I don't give a fuck about your boyfriend.
We hop in a cab, and she had a condo in Hell's Kitchen. So we get back to her place, and she like takes my clothes off. She's wearing like she's wearing leather, but not like a full dominatrix thing. But like she's taking my clothes off, and she pulls out like a Macy's. You know when you buy a comforter from Macy's, and you have like the big brown bag.
Yeah.
Like she pulls out like that size bag full of like sex toys,
Okay.
and I'm just like, what the fuck is about to happen right now? She puts a ball gag in my mouth, and she takes like what looks like a shoestring, and she ties like some of it around my dick. And then the other end she ties around each ball, like separating my balls from my dick.
Compartmentalizing.
Right. Yeah.
Like those plates for kids.
Right,
You want everything
right.
separate.
You have your vegetables.
Your peas.
And you have
Yeah. Your nuts. Potato. And your sausage.
So she ties my dick and balls apart, and I mean, she didn't. I don't think it's been a long time since it happened, but I'm trying to remember exactly because like I remember it wasn't like tied up for long, and she was just like,
Okay.
Kind of like messing around with me and like smacking me around a little bit, and then she laid me on my back, lifted my legs up, and
This is the part I remember.
she was like, she lubed me up, and she was like, breathe. And I was like, what? And then she was like, just breathe. And I was like, okay. And she fucked the shit out of me. I don't think that's the hardest I've ever come in like my life.
Unfucking real. Was that your first time having a dick in your butt?
Mm-hmm.
Ah!
Listen, I tell dudes all the time, like, yo, give it a shot. I don't know, man. Like, try it. Because you might not like it. You might not like it. I don't know. But like, maybe you will. Like, that's the thing. Like, I've been talking about it more on stage lately, but it's like, the last thing I want is to die not knowing something about myself.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to die not knowing that this was something that I like. And, maybe if I didn't like it, I'd rather try it and not like it and know than to
totally,
to never know. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't try kale until a couple years ago. What if I didn't?
I used to think zucchini was the most disgusting thing on the planet, and eggplant. And now those are my two favorite vegetables.
Yeah.
To stick up my ass.
Especially the eggplant.
Yeah.
But who knows? Who knows? Maybe, I don't know. You never know.
I saw some tweet that was like, trying something and deciding that you don't like it is so much better than not trying it and saying that you don't like it. Like, if you've never had a food, don't tell me your opinion on that food.
Right.
Because you haven't tried it.
Right. I feel like that's how people come to the conclusion with like pineapple on pizza. It's the popular thing to say.
They think it's disgusting.
No to. But
but I've tried it.
I think it's great. See, but again, you've tried it and you don't like it.
To me, yeah, exactly.
Right.
Stan, you're the best. I want to keep going, but maybe we can have you back for another time, because we have been doing some little Patreon extras anyway, that if people hear this episode and they want to ask you some more questions, maybe they could write in and I can have you back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I'm an open book. Anybody can ask me anything. I have no problem answering any questions.
Amazing. Oh, did we already talked about your first cum? It was just a standard jerk.
No, I the first time it was a wet dream.
Ooh.
Yeah. Like I didn't even have to do anything. I just woke up and there was jizz in my jeans.
You sleeping in jeans?
At the time, it was like I fell asleep and I was like, I fell asleep and I woke up and I was like, what the fuck is this? I didn't know.
So how old were you then?
I was probably like 13, 14.
Okay. And then you were like, let me try this with my hando.
Right. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Good to know. Thank you for that clarification.
Yeah. I think I fell asleep watching Wild on E.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that all those like either that or like it was like those Girls Gone Wild commercials or whatever. And I woke up and there I was.
Gotta love that early 2000s programming.
So fun. So yeah, we have some nice notes on cock and ball bondage that I think we can go into when we come back. So come back for the next time, you guys. We also do have some notes on how toxic masculinity fails Black boys, which we can talk about on Patreon if you guys are interested too. So hit us up about that. And anything that you'd like to know, if you have any questions about me and my new pronouns, or Stan, or anything that he's talked about, let us know, please. Stan, can you tell everybody where they can find you on the internet if they want to check you out or ask you anything directly?
Yeah, you can hit me up at Funny Man Stan. I'm on Twitter and Instagram. I just started a new Twitch stream. So you can go to twitch.tv/funnymanstan. I play video games and talk about everything. So you can hit me up and we can chat there too.
You still got your podcast?
I do have my podcast. That's My Shit Podcast. I release episodes every Monday.
I've been on it.
It was, and that was a real fun time. Actually, I don't know if you remember. I'm doing a solo now, but my co-host Angel just moved to North Carolina. He's got a baby and he's engaged now.
Oh, congrats, Angel!
Yeah. So everybody's doing well, and I do another podcast called Nobody's Movie Reviews, where we watch movies and spoil them.
What's it called?
So I'm actually Nobody's Movie Reviews.
Okay.
Because we are nobodies and nobody cares what we say, but we
amazing.
spoil the movie anyway. And I think we're doing Judas and the Black Messiah soon, so that's something to look forward to.
Cool. I love spoilers so much. Famously told my sister that Dumbledore died before she has never forgiven me.
Did you do it? Did you do it as Moaning Myrtle?
I didn't.
Charlotte, did you know that he dies?
That's one of my favorite bits of yours, man.
Thank you. Shout out to Charlotte too, because we made that, like, we've been doing Moaning Myrtle forever.
Yeah.
And we started it because we went to go see Daniel Radcliffe in Equus on Broadway, because
the one where he gets naked?
Frontal. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we saw his dick, and
how was it? Big piece?
It was soft.
Okay.
And we were living in a time where you commented on the size of people's penises. And the whole time after the show, Charlotte and I just kept going,
Harry, I saw your penis. Oh, it was tiny. And I'll never forget what I saw. XOXO, Moaning Myrtle.
It's so funny.
Yeah, good times. But no more penis shaming, because apparently small dicks can make you come the hardest you ever have in your life.
See?
Boom shakalaka. Stan, just to end this thing, I have to ask you a question. I think you know what it is. I have to ask anyone after a sexual experience, which this has been. Stan Talouis, did you finish?
Yes, I did finish.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for helping me come.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Listen, Remy, I'm so proud of you, man. I've always been a fan. You're one of my best friends on and off stage, and I'm just glad to be a part of this.
You are a treasure, and I'm so honored that you are in my life and now on this podcast. And yeah, everybody check Stan out, and please follow us on Instagram at How Come Podcast and me at Remy Casimir. I love you all, and we'll see you next time on How Come. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
It's not you, it's me. I try so hard to finish honestly. They say you'll know when you go all the way from A right down to O. Oh no, I think that I still got a ways to go. Oh, I'm sick of this and I have got to know how How come? How come? How come I can't achieve? How come I can't achieve? I'm rolling up my sleeves. I'm rolling up my sleeves. Oh baby, I believe these guests can help. 'Cause I can't do it by myself. I wanna jizz.
Okay, so good. So happy.
You're the best, Rem.
You're the best. I guess we'll plan another one whenever we're ready. But
Yeah.
I'll start working on this one. And yeah, let me know if there's anything that you want sliced out. If you think about
No,
it.
I mean, everything's good with me.
You don't have to let me know right now. You can have like 3 days.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Whatever I said about being gay and stuff, take that stuff out. Because of my mom. I'm just kidding. No, leave it all in.
Okay. Well,
Wouldn't it be weird if like this is how my mom finds out?
I mean, do you know how many drag queens, like the way they come out to their families or the fact that they're doing drag is appearing on Drag Race?
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, I get it. I mean, like, I can't, like, I can't imagine how, like, if my mom were to ever find, like, my mom would have to watch me do stand up before she, and she never will. So unless I'd have to, if I got this Tonight Show and then I started talking about like gay stuff, that's when my mom would be like, "You like dudes?" That's the only way. She's never gonna know.
Yeah, but I think it's okay. I don't want to say I think it's a good thing, but I think it's a good thing because by that point you're famous and somebody has already been like, they're verifiably cool. Like they're so good at their fucking job that they're on TV for this. So you better love them still.
Right. Yeah. I think that's the best way to, I think maybe, you know what? Maybe that's how I'll come out to my mom. Maybe it'll motivate me to I'll get a Netflix special and be like, "Oh, by the way, mom, I had a dick in my mouth."